Namaskar, welcome to this first panel discussion of Indie Global Waste Management Summit, a two-day virtual summit that will be revolving around waste management and sustainability and various other technology and policy interventions in waste management. We had an amazing inaugural session followed by award ceremony with participation from across the country. Government of India, Government of Assam, Telangana, and various other state governments joined us and agencies and presented their best practices, innovation, and the way ahead, including the global trends. Now, a very important panel discussion, which will be focusing on municipal solid waste management policies, opportunities, and technologies. We have, without further ado, please join me in welcoming one of the star speakers who knows the waste management in and out. He earlier served as he's the founder, former CEO for Telangana Academy for Skill and Knowledge, that is a Telangana wing for the skill wing for the government of Telangana. Now he is heading as the Global Chief Human Resource Officer for the environmental and waste management company, RE Sustainability. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sujeev Nayak.
Thank you,
very much.
Sudhir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to the distinguished panel members, and also thanks to Indie Global Media for bringing us all together virtually for this Waste Management Summit.
Thank you very much. Let me introduce the other speakers as well. Then I'll hand over the session to Dr. Sujeev Nayak. We are joined by Dr. Ajay Kalamdhar, who is the professor and environmental engineering, Department of Civil Engineering with Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, Assam. Thank you very much, Dr. Ajay, for joining us. Let me also call upon Dr. Hari Bhakta Sharma, who is with the National Institute, with the Municipal Institute of Technology, Gangtok. He is the assistant professor with the Department of Civil Engineering, Sikkim Municipal Institute of Technology, Gangtok. Thanks you very much, Dr. Hari Sharma, for joining us. We are also joined by a man environmentalist who works on the ground and he's known for various initiatives taken in sensitizing and raising awareness. Join me in welcoming Major Shivakiran. He is the consultant with solid waste management for in Hyderabad, Telangana. Thank you very much, Major Shivakiran, for joining us. We will also be joined by the Additional Commissioner, Solid Waste Management and Sanitation with Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, and also from the Telangana State Pollution Control Board, we will be joined by Mr. Praveen Kumar, the Senior Environmental Engineer. With this, I would like to call upon our esteemed moderator for this session, Dr. Sujeev Nayak, a Global Chief Human Resource Officer with RE Sustainability. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sudhir. Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to the distinguished panel members. We have 60 minutes for this panel discussion, and the topic is municipal solid waste management, policies, opportunities, and challenges. To set the context, I'd like to share a few data points and some perspectives before I hand it over to the distinguished speakers. World waste production is expected to be approximately 27 billion tons per year by 2050. One third of this will come from Asia, with major contributions from China and India. Waste generation in urban areas of India will be about 700 grams per day in 2025. And this is approximately 4 to 6 times higher than what it was in 1999. There is also another report that says waste produced in urban areas of India is approximately 1,70,000 tons per day, which is equivalent to about 62 million tons per year. And this is expected to increase by 5% per year due to increased population and changing lifestyles. And if you look at the quantum of waste that is generated per day in India alone, approximately 68% is collected, and 20% to 20 to 25% is scientifically treated. So, with looking at these data points, I think one of the things we know that population growth is a major contributor to increasing municipal solid waste in India. India faces major environmental challenges associated with waste generation, inadequate waste collection, transport, treatment, and disposal, and more importantly, train people in the waste management sector. Current systems in India cannot cope with the volumes of waste generated by an increasing urban population, and this impacts the environment and public health. While we look at this, there are several challenges and barriers, but there are also several opportunities. Waste management infrastructure has an important role in delivering sustainable development. Because of this population growth, it has led to depletion of natural resources. So, value extraction from waste can be in many forms: materials, energy, or nutrients. And this can provide a livelihood for many people. The transition of waste to resources can only be achieved through investment in solid waste management. And this depends on a coordinated set of actions to develop markets and maximize recovery of reusable, recyclable materials. Resources can be recovered from waste using existing technologies, and India has an extremely effective recycling tradition. The scrap dealer, in quotes, produced recycled materials through an extensive and well coordinated network across the country. However, there are major issues associated with public participation in waste management and generally a lack of responsibility towards waste in the community. There is a need to cultivate community awareness and change the attitude of people towards waste, as this is very, very fundamental to develop proper and sustainable waste management systems. Today, we are having several distinguished panel members who will be sharing their thoughts on multiple topics related to our panel. And may I now invite Major Shiv Karan, Consultant Solid Waste Management, Hyderabad, to start with sharing his perspectives in about 6 to 8 minutes, please. Major Saab, over to you.
Thank you. Swach Namaskar. I just want a confirmation that you're able to hear me. Somebody can just confirm.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. And it's a nice opportunity to be associated with this panel. And I see a lot of distinguished names here. Um, First of all, again, thanks to Sudhir Gautam for putting us all together. I heard a lot about Dr. Sujeev, but it's an opportunity to meet here because my good friend Shailaja used to work for Reel and before that task. So I used to often hear about him. As also Dr. Ajay and Dr. Hari here, and I think our friends from GHMC will also be joining in. It's indeed a privilege. So without wasting more time, as they say, let's get on with it. And the topic, as so nicely enunciated in the beginning by Dr. Sujeev about the perspectives, what it involves. I agree with some of them, and some maybe I'll just present as I talk. In fact, suggested that I would speak on the challenges and then the opportunities which the challenges present. Because of the time, I will just try and say uh, how these challenges are. I mean, what these challenges are, I'll briefly mention them, and maybe I'll also look at the opportunities which they present. Um, First up, I think when we talk of waste management and things like this, at various forums wherever I've been involved, I ask people a question: do you keep your home clean? Most of them respond and say yes. But I said, then what about the city? What about the other community areas? They say, I mean, normally it's a negative answer to say there's no connect with it. So first question is the sense of pride, the challenge of sense of pride that the community, the city, the country belongs to us. How do we bring that in? Again, how do we bring that in is when the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan began in 2016, each one of us tried to get involved. So, but still, the opportunity, as we say, is still not there to volunteering. I think we should see this as an opportunity for the community to volunteer so that we become part of what is happening, let it be on the national level or at the state level or at the city level. So, if the municipal administration departments or municipality recognizes this and involves the community and instilling sense of pride. How they do it is again another question, but then we should try and do that. That's a challenge to look at it. Another aspect challenge which I would see is waste management happens every day. It's a daily issue. You clean up today and tomorrow it's there again. It's not like a road or some other supply that you can manage by. Suppose it's a bad road, you still continue to use it, but waste management happens every day. You do it well today, tomorrow again you're back at it. So that's a challenge which you need to be doing. So as I just heard Dr. Suji mention the quantities, from an environmental perspective, we often talk of the reduce, recycle, reuse. So if we look at it as opportunities for reducing the waste, if at all, there's a lot of things which have been coming in, the single-use plastic, the banning on basic packaging material. So all this, if the aim, if we can, as a country, traditionally, I always believe we are a very environment-friendly country. We're sensitive, culturally very sensitive. If we could do that and reduce the waste that we create very consciously, we could also look at that problem, and the problem size reduces. Also, a decentralized way. Instead of having, let's say, you mentioned some quantities. Just to put a again perspective to the quantities, a city like Hyderabad generates about 7,500 tons per day. When I say this, it doesn't sink in. But when I say it's about 800 lorry loads, 800 vehicles, people understand. Imagine 800 vehicles coming and dumping the waste same place year after day after day, day after day. That's not the way. It has to be decentralized, and the opportunity is for municipalities to recognize ward based. We have wards. We can have decentralized ward based system to manage our waste. And when the community knows the waste is going to be with them, they become more conscious, and the waste remains. So they reduce. So all kinds of things. The focus today, what happens is city like Hyderabad. I think Dr. Sujeev is more involved with that. The company collects the waste or is involved in collection, transportation, and disposal. So it's as if it's somebody else's waste. So whoever creates the problem, that way should be responsible. A decentralized waste management system is a huge opportunity, maybe which we have not really explored. Then comes the technology part. Technology part is we often keep talking of various technologies in waste. We talk of segregation, we talk of then composting, etc., etc. Somehow we've not really got onto the easier ways of doing it. Now segregation, that has to be. I don't believe there's any technology for it, even though keep talking of various methods of blowers and whatever magnets, segregators, your conveyor belts, people standing. But source segregation is something we all have to do. If you're not able to do it, that's sad. But it has to be done. Then only other things can come in. So only if waste is segregated can technologies come in and take over. People talk of power generation, but I keep hearing world over that power generation projects are not really being very, very helpful. So technology for composting, easier things to be done. Somebody says in 24 hours you can compost. I don't know various methods, but if you can make it simpler, decentralized, that way it will be much, much better. And the involvement, as I said, about the people involved in waste management, there's another challenge. When I say people, I look at the government agencies, the private agencies, the informal sector. Now, for the government, the mandate is there, but how do they deliver? That's becoming a bigger problem. They don't have the capacity to really handle these kind of situations, and it's ever growing, as Sujeev said. And governments, the role, the challenge is how do we capacity build the government's ability, and also not just capacity build, but also sensitize them. I would feel at every level we should have now, for instance, our additional commissioner solid waste management might join in AC sanitation, but he has a lot of responsibilities along with it. So he's not able to focus on this important aspect. So at a ward level, maybe when we had commissioners like Dr. Janardhan Reddy and Dr. Satyanarayana and things like that, the focus was on sanitation. So sometimes it is becoming dependent on the bureaucrat who's heading the corporation rather than the institutionalization. Maybe we should look at it. And the private sector is coming in big way. Companies like Ramki are there and other companies are also there. But to me, when the private sector comes in, it's for a for-profit activity. So it is, I'm not questioning their commitment, but the point is there's a contract, there's a for-profit idea. So sustainable sometimes becomes a difficult issue. Informal sector, people like the rack pickers, waste pickers have been working for quite some time, many years at stretch. Now I see opportunity for the lot of startups are coming here, but it's the scale is still not there. So maybe more needs to be done as the policy says in rack picker should be made part of the system and kind of. But to me, because I work at the grassroots with them, I don't find that kind of thing actually happening on the ground. That should happen. That's a challenge. How do we make it happen? Is it has to happen. Enforcement through the municipalities, through I don't know the legal remedies, but it has to happen. Then the involvement of the community, as I mentioned earlier, also community needs to be empowered. What happens is in smaller communities, even if we have to set up some small units, they have to be empowered. And we said if the cost of transportation or collection of waste is saved by community setting up decentralized waste management systems, which can be passed on in terms of property tax reductions or some other kind of incentive, that would work. And ownership of the infrastructure. See now, waste collection mechanism, the vehicle infrastructure, apparently is owned by some other, by the government agency or by the private company. The communities can start owning this. That's again an opportunity that I see. So owning the infrastructure to collect waste, setting up decentralized waste management system is a huge opportunity which I see. The last challenge I see is about enforcement, in the sense that policies are there, rules are there, everybody is aware. A lot of people talk of awareness and all, but I believe there's enough awareness, and all the people who travel abroad and see things happening come back, and again we are back to the same one. So that is a huge issue, and enforcement has been very, very slack, I would say. How do we make it happen? But then, whenever I bring up this issue of enforcement, I also believe in that. It has to come from within. This is our country. We need to be cleaner. We need to be conscious of civic sense. But then, rules are rules. If rules are not followed, sometimes the community is not able to handle the offenders. So, enforcement is an issue which the government can come in and also empower the communities if they can do this. And as I said, reward those communities which do better in waste management. So, in all, I think that is the challenges that I wanted to present. And opportunities wise, I just wanted to talk about Dr. Suji talking about this, that the governments have to invest in this. A lot of times I notice that companies come in and say, all right, you give us your garbage, waste, we will give you power, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. I don't think it works like that. And I don't know if any other Western models are there. Government has to invest in environment, health sector, education. It's a primary mandate. It has to. And the recoveries from, I was just hearing the EPTRI Director General speaking in the morning session. Recovery from waste in terms of renewables and kind of, I've noticed it's not much there, because again, as a country, we have very nice practices that we reuse so much that hardly anything is left in the waste to recover in terms of monetary value. So there, I think we cannot be looking at that as a so government should invest, empower the communities, have a decentralized system, and not see it as a business. That's what I would like to say. Thank you, Dr. Suji, for the time, and I await listening to the others. Thank you.
Thank you, Major Shiv. I think very interesting perspectives. And two things that I picked up, and I want to repeat it for the sake of repetition, is one, you used a very simple acronym. Of course, many of us would have heard, but it is worth repeating: the three R's: reduce, recycle, and reuse. And I think the second very important point that you mentioned is, if we are able to segregate waste at the source, it has immense value. Thank you so much for sharing your perspectives. May I now invite Dr. Hari, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Sikkim Manipal Institute of Technology, Gangtok, to share his perspectives. Over to you, Dr. Hari.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for providing the platform for the Indigo world as well. As you introduced me by saying that I'm from Sikkim, so I'm from the mountainous region of India. And mountainous region, including the hills, is around 25 to 30%. So we have a specific problem to our waste management. Sometimes the government of India brings the policies, centralized policy, and that likes to be implemented from as a top-down approach. but sometimes that solutions doesn't trickle down to the bottom, including the hill area. And the mountain area, northeast area, we are seeing the very high surge of tourists. To give a data around, the twice the population of state, we saw the tourist influx in state. So around 16 lakh, 18 lakhs, tourist flows here. And sometimes the municipalities, the urban cities, now we have a smart cities in a very, small state also, two smart cities in the Gantok, Sikkim. So what happens is, it seems urban local bodies, municipalities are sometimes not prepared for, this sort of demands. When a lot of tourist flows to a states, they are not prepared, well equipped infrastructure wise, waste management infrastructure wise. So they may be ready to handle day to day low time waste, but when during the peak season, they may not be able to see that. But uh, since a year, I have been walking when I came back to state, and I'm working on this waste management issues, especially with focus in the Himalayan region and Eastern Himalayan region. All what one particular problem that I saw here, and we are working on that, is issue of data. Data is such a gold this day, we say, and that is what it is lacking in this region. We don't see sufficient data to work with, and when you don't have sufficient data and a quality data, you cannot formulate the policies. And even if you bring some policies, you that policies become redundant in few years. The and centralized system of addressing that issues, mostly handled by the professions, those who are not from the waste management experts, bureaucrats and all. They don't have the waste management expertise, and they rely on the external consultancies and other things. They tend to centralize too much by creating the dump sites and, so-called landfill, which actually is not a landfill, with the proper landfill, liner system, gas collection systems, and all those are landfills. So those are what we say are designated dump sites. So what happens is too much centralized. So what people thinks is, when they are not too much aware about the issues of waste management. So when you have created a dump site, a designated dump site legally, what happens is the consumption pattern. The people will think, I can produce a waste because there is somewhere we can just throw it, because there is a tendency, out of mind means out of sight means out of mind. When it is not near you, so it's not my problem. So that is what it is happening, and that is what we are seeing within 10 years or 15 years of constructing this designated dump site. This dump site has become full. Now it is lying right in the bank of some of the rivers. Now this, dump site is spilling out the waste, plastics, waste, everything. So that is one of the issues that is being highlighted in this part of the region. Another is, when you bring in the technology that is conducive for very, very highly advanced society, where recycling and segregation is to a very, very high extent. You say, for example, bring in high in waste to energy plant. You want to have a plasma incinerations, you want to have an incineration plant right here, but then you forget the economic of scale. That's why in our previous earlier inaugural meeting, someone was saying that they are bringing the waste far away from West Bengal and Bihar to feed their waste to energy plant. So that is what, when you try to adopt the technology that is fit for some advanced nations, and forget the very basics, as Sir has already told, very basics as, segregation, composting, then we adopt the technology that we bring in sometimes doesn't work in this challenging terrain, especially in the hill region. Another is, as I already told, the waste management experts, municipalities, and ULBs has to think on hiring and keeping the waste management experts. They rely heavily on the external bodies. And another important thing that we see in the Himalayan region, what is happening because of the tourist flow. Tourists doesn't just flow to the urban cities of the Himalayas. They also flow to the rural areas for the trekkings, and as a result, urbanization has started, booming in other part of the states also. That means the consumption pattern of the people living in rural area is changing, and that is what the authorities are not taking cognizance of. The consumption pattern means waste management generation pattern is also changing. The dynamic of waste generation is changing. You see a lot of plastics in rural area now, in the rural cities, small urban towns. We see a lot of plastics these days. There are, Amazons and Flipkarts, delivery centers everywhere scattered throughout the, urban rural settings also. So you see a lot of plastics there. Earlier it used to be, organic waste, and that used to be converted. Now the plastic, and now since there is a plastic and you don't have a proper collection mechanism, maybe once a month, set up by the panchayat bodies and other, once a month, what they do is over a time they have gathered the plastic individual in house. What we have observed is they tend to burn, and when they burn plastics, they forget dioxins and furan, a cancerous causing gas. So that is what another issues that we are facing. And difficult terrain means, landslides issues. Even if you have created a designated dump sites, issues of landslides, roads, infrastructure development. So this is one of the problem that we see. Another very important problem we see is lack of coordination between the different government departments. For example, I can say, maybe in a tourist place, a tourism department will come forward and install a lot of dustbin. Now the prerogative of collecting lies in another department. So there is no coordination. You are, you are establishing a dustbin, but there is no collection system. As a result, you see, when you travel to this, tourism places, you see waste not being collected, although there is a dustbin, or maybe source segregation is not there. So there's a lack of coordinations between the different departments also. So waste management as such, it is trickling down to a bureaucracy level also, to the panchayat levels also, especially after 2014, Swachh Bharat missions and all those things. People have now started thinking. So I think it will take some decade more to understand really issue of waste management. And another thinking is, another important point that I would like to add here is waste management. When we say the waste that is being generated in rural settings, maybe a coastal hill area in the Himalayan regions, very simple. If you see the waste compositional data, there's a plastic, cardboards, organic fractions, inorganic fraction. We see these things, plastics as a market, okay, and the cardboards have a market. Organic can be composted or anaerobic digest. Although in a theoretical, we can at least say that a compost market is a very challenging market. That when the compost is created from the urban organic waste market, to catch a market is very problem. So what is really important, a solid waste management to work in the hilly region is, if somehow the concept this we have been talking after the G20 and other things, the concept of this circular economy has to be taken very, very strictly. This concept of circular economy, recycling, reducing at the very first time, the consumption pattern, reducing, saying no to what is not needed. All those things, when brought in with the policy, the policymakers, the academicians, the politicians, when they all together will work, and the stakeholders means we as a generator also, together has to come together and work on bringing some solutions, then only it will happen. If the in some of the survey, what we found is, even in the rural area, they think the solid waste management issue is not our problem. It should be done by local body or government or politician. It should be done by government. They think that if this waste is from out of my property, means it is the problem of the government. That is not my problem now. That is what the mentality has trickled down to. So level of awareness has to be trickled down, and how that has to be executed is really a challenging thing as of now. So I think, but that would happen over a time. So with this few opening statement, I would like to hand over to the other speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Hari. I think thank you for representing a dimension on the hill region. And it was very, very heartening to note that whenever tourists go to the hill regions, it is almost double the size of the local population. It's a very, very interesting thing. And I think you also made a very interesting point that governments should appoint experts, to manage this. I think that's a very important point. And lastly, but not the least, you spoke about circular economy. And I think it is very important for all the stakeholders, the generators, the disposers, the governments, the consultants, everybody to work together. We just cannot blame government didn't do it or the citizen didn't do it. I think everyone have to come together. Only then this will work. Thank you so much, Dr. Hari. May I now invite Shri R. Upender Reddy, Additional Commissioner, Solid Waste Management and Sanitation, and also Shri Srinivas Reddy, Executive Engineer, GHMC, to share their perspectives. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. I am Mr. Srinivas Reddy, Executive Engineer, Solid Waste Management, GHMC. I think my Additional Commissioner, Upender Reddy sir, is not on the line. He is not there. Mahesh, to ensure if he is joining or not. And if you want me to continue, I'll continue anyway.
Sir, I think you should continue. When the commissioner comes, we will request him to share his perspective.
Why? Because unless my additional commissioner gives some initial remarks, it may not be better for me to go ahead if he is there, in fact. So I'm not sure whether he is there or not. Shiv Kiranji, you have any idea whether sir joined or not?
Because Srinivas Leru, I don't see him here, so I think you should go ahead.
Because I was there in the I was there in the back stage for a long time. Okay. Meanwhile, I was attending a CFO meeting in PCB. I thought actually it will clash. That was at 11, and it got delayed. It started at 12 and it finished at 12:30. So still, when I was there in CFO meeting also, I was on with muted to this. So anyway, these are all operational issues any organization will face when conducting such kind of events. And first of all, congratulations to the team you have engaged so far, senior IAS and all. I was following through Danakishore sir's speaking good thing about the water management, sewer water management, and DG ma'am, Vani Prasad ma'am's speech and all that. Yeah, coming to our point in the panel discussion, with due respect to Major Shiv Kiran and Dr. Hari, what they spoke, everything is true. But the fact remains with the public, who are the waste generators, and the policy makers, as well as the policy implementation, that is the urban local bodies. So here the point is, waste management, waste generation is everybody's right, they think. But waste management is not their responsibility, because we are paying taxes to the local bodies. It is bloody their business to manage our trash. So this is the aspect where actually we need to be stringent. And even though I have chosen the topic to speak about the treatment facilities or whatever, the infrastructure planning and all that, after listening to Major Shiv's comments and Dr. Hari's comments, actually I wanted to first speak on that little bit. After that, the infrastructure planning and whatever the issues and all that, we can go ahead. In fact, I like that topic more, as Major Shiv Kiran know it since 2016. We worked together for some time during Janardhan Reddy sir's time. He was in ASCII. So coming to the point, my first take will be on the regulatory mechanism and the rules. This even I spoke before the Secretary, MO, EF and CC also. And of course, whoever speak the facts, they will be looked in a different way, because the mob majority is on one side and the people like me are on the other side. Even Shiva also comes into my line when I speak about these things. So first of all, coming to what Dr. Hari was saying regarding Amazon bringing so many things along with our gifts, so much of trash and all that. Why can't we make them responsible? When their person comes to deliver my next item, he ought to collect the trash of his. And also the packaging, of course, now it has come down. Earlier, even today also, by maybe because of the things are getting delivered, packed by so many business operators directly, not everything coming to Amazon Hub and getting packed. Am I right, Dr. Hari? So because of that, even today also, for a small gift item inside, even if it is not a precious item, 2, 3, 4 layers of packaging is there. Even today also it's happening. Somehow even Flipkart is a little better than Amazon. They have reduced the layers of packing. Okay, and Mintra, in fact, they are packing with paper covers. So my take is whoever the commercial, e-commerce persons may be, so they should be, the EPR should be extended to such level that it's not that whatever the waste management agencies that and this that EPR system in place right now. I am not happy with that. There are so many loopholes, and whatever the system of monitoring them through bots and all that, what the system they are claiming that it is foolproof and they are doing so well. So that is a debatable issue. Let's not go into that. And instead of making the collection possible through EPR agencies or WMES, why don't we keep the system more stringent by making them liable to get it back through their own mechanism? One thing. Second, of course, there will be some practical difficulties and operational issues that can be discussed later. Why? Because the one who brings the fresh item can't take that as if he is become a waste collector or waste picker. They can go to take it to at least the nearby. Per ward, one DRC center will be there if established by the local body, or on their own they also can establish, and the kind of solutions will be there anyway. That is one point. And coming to the second point, even the public also, Major Shiv was saying that there is a legislation and in place and they need to be properly implemented. So what I say is the existing rules, regulations are also not in proper shape. They are only eyewash or piecemeal. The reason is, just let us go to the rule number 4, sub rule 6. Of course, 6, 7, and 8, they speak about the bulk waste generators. So I will read out. All resident welfare and market associations. Next, 7 and 8 also gated communities and institutions, hotels and responsibles. These are the bulk waste generators. So there, within 1 year, from the date of notification of these rules and in partnership with the local body, ensure segregation of waste at source by the generators as prescribed in these rules, comma,
Srinivas sir, I think we lost you. Major Dr. Hari, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I think we lost Srinivas Reddy garu. You're right about it.
Okay, then let's wait for a couple of minutes. Mahesh, can you
Just
just
call him.
give a buzz? Yeah.
hello. Yeah, am I
Yes.
audible?
Srinivas
you're
sir,
audible.
I am on mobile. I am on mobile. That's why the problem is I am getting calls in between. Yeah. I am getting calls in between. Come sit. I am getting calls in between because I tried on my laptop.
Srinivas garu, we lost you again.
Because Sujit, these
Hello.
are all virtual challenges. Real ones are much more.
Yes.
I am not able to connect on laptop. I connected on my mobile, and because my office number, I am getting calls. So yeah. Anyway, please excuse me.
No
Yeah.
problem,
So
Srinivas
the
garu.
point
Please
here
continue.
is, the point here is why I was trying to read that entire sub rule is, the point is the biodegradable waste shall be processed, treated, and disposed of through composting or biomethanation within the premises as far as possible. Why? Why, when you say as far as possible, have we not left out a provision for the bulk generator to say that it's not possible for me, so I am giving you the money, I'm paying you to GHMC, whatever the amount you charge me. Then how can you say that I am bound to do it? So what I mean to say is, at least for bulk waste generators, it should be made compulsory. It should be made compulsory to segregate as well as to dispose of at their level itself. And coming to households, it can be enforced in a phased manner, of course, but for the first instance, segregation can be made compulsory, 100%. Okay. If not, the polluter pays principle should be adopted in case of households also, because they are the polluters, in fact, isn't it? When you speak about the product generators, the EPR is on how stringently implemented, at least on cards right now. It is not stringently implemented practically, though we know. So that should be implemented even to. That means whenever a case comes in front of NGT, they treat the ULBs as polluters, and for not implementing the rules, they impose penalties, hundreds and thousands of crores on us. But we are not the polluters, so the polluters pace should be applied on generators also. And then coming to the next points, yeah. So our subject, I'll shift to our subject. So regarding the waste management facilities, infrastructure planning and implementation, I'll go by some 10, 11 points, just in a rush, because already my time was wasted because of these calls and all that. Yeah, first of all, that should be viewed differently between, if a city is having some system already in place, they will have more challenges than a city which is starting raw. The comparison why I'm telling is, if a city is starting raw, means they are blessed for not having any system in place. Whereas a city like Hyderabad, which have already a system in place since 2012, now to adapt and amend its facilities on par with 2016 rules, or thereafter whatever the CPCB makes so many other amendments. So it's difficult. Why? Because whatever advantages or whatever comforts we have provided to our citizen, to throw everything on our face and to segregate at our disposal facility level, they are habituated to that already. And now, because Indore has started very late, and after such survey action and all that,
I think we lost him again. Let's wait for a couple of seconds for him to come back.
yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back.
Please continue.
So they are blessed with the advantage of starting some systems like SCTV, whatever they have developed, the mini transfer stations, the source segregation, and all that, and all the story you know. That we can't implement. Why? Because our people were already habituated. Between 2012 and 15, I did nothing to sensitize them, because again the problem is with not handing over the 100% scope. As you all know, Sujeev Nair will be knowing, because he is in REEL and now RE sustainability, and we all know. So the late starters got the advantage than the forerunners. We are not blessed with that advantage, as you can understand. So now, keeping those things apart, so the planning should include the assessment of the present system situation and how to correct the lapses. Okay, and now coming to the second, the regulatory framework. So when we started, we had some advantages, but later the regulatory framework changed. So like that, we can't. The technologies keep changing, so we need to take into account the regulatory framework also. When we started our facility, the 2000 rules were there. Now 2016 rules, and hereafter what changes may come, that regulatory framework also we have to keep in mind before we establish a particular kind of waste management system. So then setting the objectives and goals. So what to do and what level we can achieve in what course of time. So that is what objectives and goals. And coming to the fourth point, then the waste quality and waste quantity. So they need to assess the existing current levels of waste and the quality and characterization of the waste and the future growth of the waste. And then next will be the waste characterization. Why? Because it's very important. We need to assess the waste characterization, so that depending on the waste characterization, we can decide what kind of technologies we can adopt. For example, in Hyderabad situation, because there is no source segregation, we all have to admit. So the waste characterization is different. And also the waste quality is much better. So for example, if I compare my waste with the Indore or Delhi or whatever, the Bombay Kanjur Marg, where they try to think of dry digesters, there it is not suitable. Whereas for our waste, it is dry digestion is suitable, and we are now planning for our Pyaranagar site for dry digestion. So in Indore and Goa, let us say what they are doing is the wet digestion because of the waste characterization there. Here, even though the segregation is not there, we are not allowing the construction and demolition waste to mix with and the silt to mix with the waste. So here, dry digestion will be suitable for us. So like that, waste characterization plays a role before we plan the infrastructure. And coming to the sixth point, the collection system design. So when come to collection system design, obviously keeping these things in mind, if the people of the city are habituated already to segregation, then we need not plan much for on the disposal side, but we can plan for the collection system in a segregated manner, whether it shall be into 3 streams. We can't say 2 streams now. Why? Because the domestic hazardous waste also has to be collected. So 3 systems is the minimum, or whether it shall be 3 streams or more than 3 streams. Why? Because if you have a very good system like in Ambikapur, let us say, there the segregation is happening in 6 to 7 streams. So maybe 6 to 7 ways of collection of the waste may have to be there. Or if you are planning now, the segregation levels at source, if they are only in 3 levels, then 3 streams is enough for collection system. After coming to the intermittent transfer point, maybe there we need to establish the other 4 more or 5 more levels of segregation. So that kind of planning should be there. And then coming to the 8th point will be a transfer station development. Again, it depends on whether the segregation, if the segregation levels are good, and also the transfer station or transfer points space is available, sufficient space is available, then you can plan the wet waste processing also at that center, so that you need not carry everything to the treatment and disposal center, which is 30-50 kilometers away, wherein you can save the fuel and also you can save the carbon footprint and all that. So that can be done. And then coming to the transfer station planning and development. So as we all know, the urban growth is very dynamic, and as the cities are growing faster and faster, whatever the facilities established now, thinking that it is 30 kilometers away from the city, so tomorrow it will become a part of the city very much. So we need to plan for the current waste disposal a little closer to the city, and thereafter anyway prospective increase in the waste, we need to plan further facilities. So we need to identify now itself in the outskirts of the city, going as far as 60-70 kilometers or 100 kilometers away also. Why? Because when we planned the treatment and disposal facility at Jawahar Nagar, because we had 339 acres of huge land mass available, maybe I don't blame my previous bosses, but maybe they might thought that this is good enough for another 25 years. But now we are facing the problem now, because we have almost exhausted the land and not more than 5 to 10 acres is left for our future landfills. And also one problem we are facing now is, it is at one place it is going. Entire waste, city waste is going into the one place. That is also the constraint we are facing. But had we planned for realizing the sites in 2012 itself, how easy it could be, because this kind of NIMBY syndrome and all are not there at that time, and people are also not aware of. I mean, it's not that because people are not aware we can get their lands and throw our waste on their faces. That's not true. But it could be easy, and also it could have facilitated us to develop the Jawahar Nagar facility itself in a state-of-the-art kind of. Or even if we have established that with primitive technologies like windrow composting and then RDF generation, we could have upgraded in the meanwhile, isn't it? Because if the facility is for only 2,000 tons per day, let us say, then we could have gone for everything under closed system, and tipping floor also could not be like this now, open, and it could be even under a closed shed, and also a closed, recirculation kind of thing, like how in waste to energy, we extract the gases and we treat them and send the fresh waste, fresh air into. So that is how it could be, and there could be no odorous gas emission, and there could be no hue and cry from the outside, public, surrounding public. So what I mean to say is, because of not realizing the sites long back and not decentralizing, now everything at one place, and by showing this, the public at elsewhere where we are planning the facilities now, they are agitating, they are opposing. If this could not happen, if we could plan 3 sites or 4 sites on 4 corners of the city, as we planned in the stipulated in our concession agreement, but practically we could not do. If that could be done, then this facility, Jawahar Nagar, which was a open dump site at that time, and uncontrolled fires happening, and uncontrolled flow of leachate happening, this could be improvised a lot, much better than what it is today. And by seeing that no other areas, the public could be opposing the facility. Now in Pyaranagar, we started the facility, 150 acres. We are now going to start our the operation, the construction of the new facility. Now we are in the stage of laying the approach road through forest area. Even before we started that also, the public agitations have started, though in a piecemeal, in a smaller scale now, because not much public know about it now. But the public representatives, even from the ruling party also, they are opposing it. Why? Because they, by seeing the scenario at Jawahar Nagar, by showing that as a bad example, they are simply saying that, oh, our area also may become like Jawahar Nagar. That means it has become a bad example, even though we have put many efforts. The people who saw that area before 2014 and they see now, everybody is appreciating us. In fact, a few days back, our member secretary PCB newly came. He visited and he was saying that, oh, it's very nice. And a couple of days last week, respected Deputy CM of Karnataka has visited our site, and he has appreciated like anything, in fact. But we are not feeling happy. Why? Because we were seeing the facility since long, and the problems we faced, and still the problems are there. We are able to see that. So we are not able to feel the improvements. So if it is planned earlier, that means the planning, the early the better is what I'm trying to say, and I think the respected dignitaries, you are able to catch it. So in waste management facility planning, yes, sir.
Srinivas, quick check if you can conclude faster, please, because we have.
I have only 3 points. I have only 3 points, and I'm concluding. Already I have done 9 points, right? So coming to the choice of technologies. Coming to the choice of technologies. So when planning, at planning stage itself, we can't foresee whatever the technologies that are going to come up in future and all that. So the technology we adopt today, we plan for today, should be such that they can be easily upgraded when in future course of action, because of the regulations changes or because of the technological upgradements comes. So for example, if we think of our pre-sorting we have, what kind of mechanical segregation we have. So we have now rotary type of trommels. So that can be easily replaced with now the Ramki is planning for disk type of trammels. So that is an easy travel through, okay, transition. And the same way, we have only windrow technology. At that time, we have planned for windrow composting. Now we have to move on. Why? Because windrow composting, at least inside a closed facility, that could be not a problem, but now it is open. So even better facilities, better technologies are available for treating the organic waste. So that already I have spoken a little on wet methanization and dry methanization or dry digestion. So now we are planning for dry digestion for a newer facility, the new facility. And even the present facility also, if decentralization happens, then if it is around 2000 tons or so, then we can plan for at least 500 tons per day at Jawaharnagar also for dry methanization or dry digestion. So that is how the technology upgradation also, there should be a provision, or we should take that or keep that into mind while planning also. So that is the 10th point. And coming to the 11th, that is performance monitoring and continuous improvement. That by name you can understand. So that we should keep on doing that, so that the regulations changes and the people complaining to NGTR, CPCBR, then after that if we wake up, then we will be late. That's what is the problem. So we have to continuous evaluation, monitoring and evaluation should be there. And then my 12th point will be, the last point will be public outreach. That is information, education and behavioral change communication. This should be done irrespective of whether we are a beginner or whether we are already having some system in place. So that is kind of Hyderabad. We will have lot of challenges and bigger challenges than for a beginner who started from 2015-16 or who is starting today. Till yesterday, he has no system in place. It was very bad. But still he is starting today. He can show miracles and he can get so much of, not to blame anybody, but one example I want to say here, one or two awardees, actually they throw their waste on our face. They send their waste to my facility and still they got award now. So there is no, because we are all friends, that's not an issue. But the thing is, the late starters and particularly those 12 municipalities who are throwing their waste on my face, that is at Jawaharnagar, you please plan in such a way that you educate your citizen, you do IEC activities properly and see that source segregation is properly done, and you get only a small portion of mixed waste and all dry waste goes to the recyclers within the city. And you need not plan for any waste to energy. You need not send any RDF to your cement plants and all. There is no offtake. You can send your dry waste or your whatever disposable inert material to me. Then I will happily take it and I will send directly to my waste to energy. So that is how the continuous activities of IEC and IE and BCC activities to be taken up, to see that whatever the 1 to 11 points, 1 to 10 points we have spoken, they operate properly and there will be no outcry from the citizen around the areas. Why? Because the last point I want to say is, if I am staying opposite to Major Shivakiran or Dr. Hari's house and I sweep my house and throw my waste in front of their house, and there will be a quarrel between us. That is what is the NIMBY. But we are throwing the entire city waste of 7,500 tons and 12 other ULBs waste of 500 tons together, means total 13, 14 ULBs waste on the adjacent, means besides the houses of Dammaiguda, Jawaharnagar, etc., etc. That means definitely, because we have to think in that lines before we plan the waste management facilities and before we take up some initiatives to segregation, for source segregation and education of IEC activities to the people and all that. So that kind of sympathy and empathy we should have on the people residing besides our waste management facilities. With this, I conclude. Anything else I can answer if anybody asks later. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Srinivas Garu. I think very passionately, very clearly spoken those 12 points. I think what I heard again and again, and I want to also share this on behalf of Srinivas Reddy Garu. citizens should not feel they are paying tax and they can throw everything into GHMC. I think that's a very, very powerful statement that Srinivas Reddy garu has made. The other thing what I also picked up is the need for EPR to be stepped up. I think very important point, and most importantly, how well can we look at technology in managing this municipal waste. Thank you so much, Srinivas Garu. May I now request our next speaker? Okay, is he there? Dr. Ajay, are you there? I don't think Dr. Ajay is there. So I think we started this panel discussion at 1:30 and now it is 2:26. We are well within the time. So let me thank each of the panelists for their thoughts, for their inputs, and wish the next session success. Over to you, Sudhir. Sudhir, over to you.
Or Mahesh, I don't know if Mahesh is there. Sudhir or Mahesh, I think one of them.
Sudhirji, over to you. We are done with our session.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sujivji. And I see wonderful inputs from across section. We also got a input from directly from Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation. I was hearing Mr. Srinivas Reddy also. Thank you for sharing the insights, the kind of challenges that um, the management and the administration, which keeps changing, the commissions keep changing, and the new rules come in, and we get to see the old initiatives that have been taken that discontinue, and sometimes it get continues. As also Mr. Major Shivkiran pointed out, I also work closely with Dr. Janardhan Reddy, the former commissioner with GHMC, where Major Shivkiran was actively participating, and Dr. Hari Sharma from Gangtok specifically pointed out the challenges in the hilly regions, the kind of waste management and the kind of challenges over there. And I would really like to thank Dr. Sujeev Nair, who knows in and out, representing the RE Sustainability, one of the biggest companies in India in waste management. They're not just in solid waste, but also in various forms of waste management. We so
Sudhir, I think Mr. Ajay has just joined. I see him
yes,
on the screen now.
so, Dr.
Mr.
Sujeev,
Sujeev, maybe. I think Mr.
uh,
Sujeev, Dr. Sujeev should actually ask him to speak, maybe. Mr. Ajay is here. You notice him on the screen.
Yeah. Dr. Ajay's microphone is also muted.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
Dr.
the
Ajay,
issue.
can you hear us? Would you want to share your few perspectives or thoughts? We were just
Yes,
going to
yes,
wind
yes.
up thinking that you were not there.
Am I
So if you're
audible?
there,
Am
very
I
briefly.
audible to everyone?
Yes, you
You are
are.
audible.
Kindly share your
Yeah.
thoughts.
First of all, sorry that I was traveling. So currently I'm in Puri. I'm just in front of temple. So I'll just share my few thoughts. Just I'll take 2 minutes because see everyone has to spoke about centralized system and just now Srinivasan also shared about what problem he's facing. So what I was proposing from last 20-22 years, decentralized way of treatment. I think if carefully, if you read about CPHO manual also, it was clearly mentioned that every local authority has to focus on decentralized collection as well as treatment processes. So what normally I propose that if someone says that what is the important issue for successful waste management, everyone will share about segregation. But I had added another word, that segregation followed by composting. That is what I shared everywhere. Even most of the corporation also I shared about. Until unless you get the success in to treat the biological waste in decentralized way, no, none of the corporation could have successful story. Forget about the Indore issue. Indore had lot of fund. There are many more physical facilities was available with the Indore. That's why they got success. But still, I won't believe that how much they'll be sustainable, because the treating 500 ton of waste, I don't believe. And how much cost is required to collect 500 ton of waste? So I normally propose everyone go for decentralized way. And even I think in Guwahati also I shared with local authority, uh, don't give the permission to construct the apartment until unless they have the compost facility in their apartment. And already we know that in every apartment 60% is construction area, 40% is a open area. So why can't they can run one compost facility, or even if not compost, if they think that there could be some odor issue or something is there, they can have one biogas facility, small biogas plant, just a 1 meter cube plant, and manage the wet waste in the apartment level only. So once the this biological waste or wet waste will be in the apartment, only the dry waste will go to the whether is a private authority will be there for collection, or local authority can collect. And once once anyone will get that dry waste separately, I think everyone will be happy to get it that. Now current problem is that, see, if you say segregation and getting collected is not possible 100%, because Indian people, you know that they won't segregate it. So if any apartment, because every apartment have their own uh, way of manage. So if they can manage the waste, the especially I'm talking about the wet waste only, not dry waste. Dry waste they can't handle. Similarly, if suppose in that in any particular area, if suppose apartment facilities are not there, single houses are there, why can't we can have one? I think there will be a somewhere garden will be there, some park will be there. So have one small composting facility or biogas facility and reduce the collection cost. That is my major idea to propose here. And the dry waste, we do not have to think much about the dry waste, because we have a lot of informal sector working in the recycle. Having the one kind of incineration facility or some kind of RDF facility unnecessary, we are creating a lot of issue with the those informal sectors. You won't believe that if you come to Guwahati, even this informal sector for plastic recycling and many more recycling facility was working from see 80s. I think I met with few people. They were working from 1978. Those recycling facility. If now government is saying that we should have one incineration facility, how these people can the livelihood could be possible for those people? So the I think uh, I think everywhere in the entire city that decentralized treatment can't be possible. But at least 30%, 40% area easily, I think that decentralized treatment could be possible. And this is how I think every city or every uh, urban area has to proceed. Now what is happening, because every city or every urban locality they wants to have within a year they want to have success, and it is not possible. If someone says that they could have a lot of facility in the dump site for treatment, all never will work. I can share with Srinivasan also, not possible. I think you need, because see the how much amount of waste is coming out, that 500 tons, 1000 ton, rather than treating that kind of quantity, why can't that 100 kg waste, or 5 tons of waste, 2 tons of waste, 1 ton of waste? We have a lot of technologies available, Indian technologies, sir. See what is happening now. We got the biogas planted indoor. Is it that that digester is from India? It is from Germany. Now, whatever fund I think we are getting from the local people is going to the Germany, not by the Indian scientists. So we see, even myself, I have one of very best biogas reactor is available with me, 10 meter cube, which can take up around 300, 400 kg per day. It can manage it out. and it required very small space also, as well as I think the such kind of reactor can be easily worked into the residential area. This is what I think I want to share with everyone. Uh, I think every corporation or every local authority also parallelly along with these their local issues and all, I think they should have proposed the decentralized location, need to have discussion. If I think local people are not accepted, so do not provide the permission to the to construct the apartment people, because there are a lot of apartments are coming up now, and make it the compulsory. Even in the Guwahati also there are many apartments, they come up with the such kind of facility, at least that 10% 20% waste, especially the biological waste or wet waste will get reduced, which won't come up to the dump site. And I personally believe that the major problem for Indian waste management system is a wet waste. Plastic was never is a issue for us, but this until unless we get the success to manage the biological waste or wet waste, I don't think so we can have the proper waste management system in Indian cities. Thank you for my.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ajay. I think if I have to summarize what you said in one word, it is decentralized collection and decentralized treatment. Thank
Yeah.
you. Once again, thanks to all the panelists for their time and their thoughts. Over to you, Sudhir.
Thank you very much, sir. It is an honor to have all the esteemed speakers on board and sharing their thoughts, their work, their initiatives on ground, and what they see as solution in the future. It's an honor. As a token of appreciation, we would like to present a token of appreciation certificate. I would like to start off with our wonderful moderator of this session, Dr. Sujeev Nair, who is the Chief Human Resource Officer for RE Sustainability. Uh, he knows in and out. Glad to have him with such a rich experience, a moderator for this very important session. Next up, we would like to present this to Major Shivakiran, who has been on the ground working regarding the solid waste management. Once again, we shall work together in future with collaboration. And also to Dr. Hari Sharma from Gangtok. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Hari Bhakta Sharma, Assistant Professor from the Sikkim Manipal Institute of Technology, and also our speaker from Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, one of the biggest corporations after Mumbai. Thank you. You have been upfront, sir, for sharing various challenges. Wonderful for sharing all those challenges which you could share with us. And also from IIT Guwahati, we have Sri Dr. Ajay Kalam Dharji, who is shared the possible things for decentralized management of waste. Thank you everyone for this wonderful for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Sudhir, are these virtual certificates or real certificates?
We shall share it with you in real, sir. We'll get it shipped.
Thank you.
Yeah, they were telling in the other session when award distribution was there, they will reach in a week.
Yeah. Awards are going to be shipped in the same way the certificates as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you all,
Grateful.
sir. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Namaskar.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
I